Let's call this meeting to order, please. The regular meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors, Tuesday, April 18, 2017. If it's built, let's get the best deal for Madera County.
There are no additions to the agenda, Chairman, and we have a closed session at 9 a.m.
Is there any additions to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chairman, there's no additions to the agenda.
Okay. County Council, will you read the closed session items in the record?
Yes. Conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The county negotiators are Adrian Caleb, and the employee organization is All Units. There is one existing litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9. It's the State of California versus the Coran Family LLP. There are 3 anticipated litigations. 2 of them are significant exposures to litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D2, and the other is to decide whether to initiate litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9. And the last 3 items are public employee performance evaluations. The title of the positions are under Community and Economic Development, and those fall under Government Code Section 54957. Community Economic Development, the Director of Public Works, and the Director of Water and Natural Resources. That's it.
Sounds good. Very good. Let's proceed to go into closed session.
Yes. Yes, Chairman. There is one item to report from closed session. It's the existing litigation case, State of California versus the Karen family. This is actually a eminent domain case filed by Caltrans in preparation for the high-speed rail project. On a motion by Supervisor Wheeler, seconded by Supervisor Frazier, a 5-0 vote, the board decided to approve and sign a disclaimer of defendant, a document that will be filed with the court saying that we have no title or interest in any of the real property that's the subject of this litigation.
We'll have invocation by Supervisor Dave. Let's all stand.
Lord, we come to you today just grateful for the good rain that you poured out on us. Every good gift and every perfect gift comes from you, and with you there is no shadow of turning. You are God and God alone, and we thank you for your goodness to us and your mercy and your peace. We ask that you would be with this board this morning in our deliberations, that we might do what is wise and prudent for this county. We ask for our citizens that they might live in peace and prosperity. And again, we thank you for this rain that pours out upon a county that our main sustenance is agriculture, and your blessings just are abundant, and we thank you for that. Help us to deal with the years to come in a prudent manner, planning for those times when we don't have water, and we just ask you to help us in these decisions. And we ask now that you would bless those young men and women on foreign fields of battle, that they might be comforted, know that they're loved at home, and just give them the courage, the strength they stand in need of. Help us to be mindful of their needs. And we thank you for that flag that has stood as a beacon of freedom for the whole world. May it continue to wave and draw others to its beauty and its liberty. We ask these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, we have a few names to open and close in memory of this morning.
Yes.
I got one.
I have the list in front of me, and I don't have it now.
Sarah Honeycutt's mom passed away last week. She's in Child Welfare Department, I think what it is. And then Brittany Dyer, my chief of staff, she lost like one of her kids. It was a puppy. Got run over Saturday, and her dogs are like my dogs, are like my kids. So she's been hard on her too. And I just want to say we're thinking about Sarah and about her mom. So thank you.
I think it's a good thing that we remember those who have passed, and someone's mother, father, brother, sister, and it means so much when they're recognized by their community. So I'm just going to read the names from District 2. Dolores Ann Puckett, Martha Marie Lemons, Kristen Carol Souza, Rudy Marin. And we remember them today, and may their families be blessed and comforted in their loss. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, a public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session is set aside for members of the public to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. Items presented under public comment may not be discussed or acted upon by the board at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public is invited to comment at the time the item is called for consideration by the board. Any person addressing the board under public comment will be limited to a 3-minute presentation to ensure that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any handouts to the board must be submitted to the chief clerk of the board for distribution to the supervisors. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium. Also, all persons addressing the board may state their name and county of residence for the record.
Can you get Jay to come here? My thing's not working.
Supervisor Wheeler, did you want to say something?
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to give the rain update. As of this morning, at about 5:30, it was 73.35 inches up there now. Had 70 hundredths last night. Wow. So we got 73.35 inches. And if for the residents that live in the mountains, I don't know how many down here, but that our SRA fees are due again. And I just want to remind people, please do pay it, because they charge like 10% a month for when you don't pay it. It's big time. And so out of the 850,000 people that has to pay it in California, only 12,000 wrote appeals last year. I've done it every year, because if you don't file an appeal on it, when the court case, which hopefully will be this year, goes the thing and the state loses on this because it is illegal tax, they will get our money back. The ones that filed appeal, the ones that didn't file an appeal, they're using that money right now to spend. So, and the first 2 or 3 years, it went all to the California budget. So, anyway, please pay that. Don't try to think you're not going to get away with it. So,
Joseph Shadwan, Madera County. I know she wasn't necessarily, well, I know she wasn't a Madera County resident, but over the weekend, the world lost Emma Morano of Italy. I bring this up because she was 117 years old when she passed away. She was the last person to be born in the 1800s.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. She lived through both world wars and 90 Italian governments.
Wow.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yep.
you going to beat that age?
God, I hope so.
I think you will.
The next oldest person is in Jamaica, born in 1900.
Island living, man.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you,
Joe.
We'll go on to number 5, consent calendar.
I got some questions, but my thing.
Dave, was it?
Oh, it's not sweating.
No. Brett?
Okay.
All right. Just on AA to reaffirm our severe drought conditions. Just because the governor says that we're out of the drought doesn't mean that we are. We still need to stay focused on this. I just wanted to bring up that with the governor declaring the drought over, that the drought water assistance program is going to be ending now on June 30th. That's the where we partner with CAP&C and have the water tanks there. I think we're going to need to bring it up. What happens with those tanks? Do the people get to keep them? Governor's now talking about having them have to buy them. They better be for $1.
Right.
Because I don't know where we're going to store them. Maybe we just store them. If we have to take them back over, maybe we just store them on the people's property. But that's just something that's coming up. It's a big deal in my district and District 2 for sure. But we need to stay very vigilant on making sure that, we're just, a year or two away from the next drought. So.
You bet.
Well, it's not over by a long shot.
No.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, item B, D, G, O, A, B, and AD. We'll start with B. I don't know. Yeah, she's here. Steve's here. Did it go through the IT department on this? There's not much backup on this particular deal, but you might not even been here, Stevie, when we've done it, but anytime we do any kind of IT update, we've always tried to make sure it went through the IT department. So
I surely did, and I understand that because I want the support of our IT department and helping us in maintenance and everything. And if we have a billion things going on in the county and different parts and different this and different that, there's no way they can do that. So I always try and work with them. What this is a program developed by Santa Clara County We have a lot of pencil and paperwork, and it gets transferred from one paper to another, drives me absolutely nuts. And they've come up with this program that kind of integrates some of the Ag Commissioners' programs electronically, and they're giving the basic program away for free to the other Ag Commissioners. This is something we've been working on and looking for years. I contacted IT, and I says, at this point, I says, all I'm asking for is your permission to send the MOU to County Council, and they responded and says, send it to County Council. After that, they will then, Santa Clara, after they get the executed MOU, will send us the software and the executed MOU, and I told IT at that time that I would bring it to them for their approval to make sure that it's compatible with our network, hardware, and everything before installing. So,
good job.
I always like to work with them.
Yeah,
it helps me.
Yeah, while you're still there, item O, I just wanted to thank you for the great 4 years you've done for Madera County. You kind of modernized everything. You brought everything up to date. I mean, it's just such a difference since you've been there that I just...
Well, I enjoy it very much, and I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to some more.
Yeah. And while we got her there, is it just a 4-year contract each time?
Right,
Okay.
and that came up in mid-October, but I kept coming to work anyway, so...
Yeah, but did we pay you, though?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for the great job, Stevie.
Thanks, Stevie.
And then item D, what kind of oversight do we have on the credit cards on those that we hand out like that? Have we done that before, or?
I'm sorry, could you please repeat your question?
It's what kind of oversight do we have on those credit cards that we'll be handing out now?
The oversight goes through a series of chain of command as far as approval, requisitions, all those sorts of things to make sure that there still remains money and the money is well spent for the needs of the clients.
I mean, can they buy liquor or anything with it? Or?
No, it's actually the staff that puts in the requisition. So we're purchasing things such as clothing for homeless individuals. We may purchase food items for an individual who we've just housed who's been homeless, so we may get them some of the basic things that they may need in order to have food in their pantry to eat.
Okay.
So
then
perhaps a pair of
staff that will
shoes.
oversee those credit cards as they
Absolutely.
I got them taking them head, front, and back. That's good. I just wanted to make sure because, I've heard some of
Absolutely,
these
Supervisor.
stores say that some of these people abuse cards that they've had. And I just
Absolutely.
it's important to know about that. Thank you very much. And then item G, the self-help rebuilding the Parkwood Park. I just wanted to thank staff for that. I can't thank you enough. It's showing that when we met with the cities when he was still in the mayor position, how we going to try to update all this stuff. And you got the one grant on all the roads, and now we got this. I mean,
And in fact, Mr. Chairman, and just so the public knows, and Monty Pistoresi at home, is that starting this week is the mill and overlay project for Parkwood, consistent with our commitment with the city. We will group our dollars together in Parkwood and Parksdale to assist in getting that area annexed to the city. So yes, sir.
well, I just wanted everybody to know we've been working on this now for a couple of years, Brett and I, and the mayor then, now he's here with us. So, and it's just it's a positive thing, and thank you guys for going out and getting that. That was G. Then AB, I just wanted to thank Tracy on that, going out, over there you are, on that company to go look for these Airbnbs. I've had a couple of people tell me there's like 400 listed in Madera County, and you and your backup said that we got about 220 paying. So I think this company is a great idea, and so thank you for hustling out there and finding something like this. So
Right. Thank
we
you,
haven't got
Tracy
time to
Kennedy.
do it.
No, we don't have time. And the Yosemite Visitors Bureau did a lot of research for us, so that on their own, which was very appreciated.
Well, kudos to them too.
Well, right, because we're in this together, really.
Right.
And so we don't really know the number. It's been rumored about in different emails and this and that, but we don't really know the number. So this will help us determine what the actual number is and identify it. And then after that, we have a series of notifications, that we will get them, bringing them into compliance.
Right, and that also, they'll just finding a couple will pay for that.
Right.
What it
Well,
costs us to
depends
do.
on how big the couple is, but yeah.
I mean,
So that's we're hopeful.
Right. Oh, I think it will.
Yeah, oh, I think, we'll find something for sure. Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, thank you.
Tracy.
And then on AED, this is for the Norfolk Water. Who's ever doing that? When will they get that water for the residents? And then also, when I first got elected, there was 8 grants out there that we applied for in 2006 or 5 or something to improve these water districts up there. And what's the status of that? I mean, here we are 11, 12 years later, and we're still giving them bottled water. I mean, they...
Yes, good morning, Mr. Wheeler, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Adel Khat, Public Works Director. Yes, it's true. Back in 2013, we were working on a funding agreement to improve the water quality for MD8A, and that has since expired, and we refiled, and we're still ongoing and with a feasibility study to improve that system. Meanwhile, we are getting this grant to give the residents drinking water.
So when will they be able to get this water?
So this is a part of multiple projects we work on with the state board. As everybody knows, works with CASI, right? So we're working with CASI, right? So these are known as the CASI projects, right? We're working on these. These are all Cassie Chahan from the State Water Board. Many of you don't know her, but these are long-term, complex projects. We have, and Supervisor Frazier's been in a lot of these meetings, the state of California, and you guys are going to be surprised, sometimes change the rules for us in the middle of the process, several times.
Well, that's several times. In those grants in 06, 05, whatever it was, whenever we applied for them.
I'd have to follow up
for the whole works, and then they come back and said we had to do the study first and then do the project. So, and now he's saying 2013. The grant we applied for that was way before that. So
and also before mine and Ahmad's time. So I think we can get you an answer. We can get you an answer, but we'd have to follow up. We don't have it right now, but we can look at that, sir. Yes.
Well, I just, 12 years later, and they still ain't got drinking water. I mean, it just sucks. And the price they pay the most for water than any district in the county.
And we're working on a solution there. As you know, it's an interesting situation with MD7 and MD8, right?
Yeah.
Up there. But I share your concern, and Supervisor Frazier and I run through this pretty regularly. This is a complex process to stand in line and follow these rules to get these dollars. And sometimes, as you've heard for over years, sometimes the amount of effort is pretty heavy. So we'll follow up on that and get you an answer, sir. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
That's it, Chair. Supervisor Rogers?
Yeah, I wanted to say I appreciate Supervisor Wheeler's comments earlier on item D, and I have similar concerns about EBT and the misuse of EBT in stores. That's something that we need to look at later on. But also item AA, Supervisor Frazier's comments about while the governor has declared the drought over, we're going to continue to face times in the future when we don't have the kind of rain we have now. And this does not alleviate our efforts to sustain our groundwater, to build storage. This county is firmly committed in the area of groundwater recharge, and it's one of our top priorities. In fact, I know Supervisor Frazier has talked about it. We've all talked about it. It's got to be a priority, and I don't want people thinking, wow, it's over, we finally made it. This is a finish line we'll never reach. It's going to be a lifetime effort, and the building of Temperance Flat Dam is absolutely of paramount importance. So we've got to continue these efforts in a major way. It's got to be our number one priority. A community without water is not a community. It's over. Stick the fork in. If you don't have water, you'll have a ghost town. And so I wanted to keep that before us, as Supervisor Frazier has also. So thank you.
Papa Murphy's does not sell liquor with EBT cards that it gets.
Any comment from the public?
I move we approve.
We have a motion and a second.
I move we approve the consent calendar as given to us.
We have first and second. Roll call.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Should we go to 10?
Item 6A, public hearing. Agriculture Commissioner, Sealer of Weights and Measures. Hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Section 9.92.030 and adding Section 9.92.035 and Section 9.94.045 of the Madera Municipal Code pertaining to the discharge of firearms on public and private properties in Madera County.
Chairman Rodriguez, Supervisors, good morning. Stevie McNeil, Madera County Ag Commissioner. And this is the second hearing for the proposal to add an exemption to the prohibition of discharge of firearms in 16 specified areas in Madera County. This is for predator animals and their capture and the way to take care of them. In the past, if you trap them, you weren't able to dispatch them, you weren't able to release them someplace else, and we want to ensure the safety of these people in these communities and their property and have a safe way to take care of these predator animals. So this is the second hearing for that for your consideration.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, I seen the correction in the black line, but the red line has still got
correct.
Red line, but it's corrected. So
yeah, I contacted
the one that counts is corrected. So thank you.
I contacted the clerk, and I didn't submit this last agenda item, and so I wasn't aware that the red line was to be put in there again. When I saw that yesterday, I contacted the clerk's office, and I says, I'm going to assume since the one that will be signed
the
is
red
okay.
line don't count anyway.
Okay.
It's the one that's printed out. The real one printed out and is correct. So thank staff, whoever done it. So.
Any other comments from the board? If not, we'll go to the public. Any comment from the public? If not, we'll bring it back for motion.
I move to approve item 6A.
Second then. We have a first and second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
7A, Board of Supervisors Department, District 1. Presentation of proclamation recognizing Riley's Brewery Company for the award of Best of the Valley, Best Newcomer of 2016 by the California Restaurant Association. Whereas Riley's Brewing Company is based in Madera County, California, and after years of perfecting the art, has been brewing craft beer since 2011. And whereas the brewery provides a portfolio of handcrafted artesian-style beer, including a multitude of year-round, seasonal, and specialty brews, and embrace the diversity of the region. And whereas Riley's competed in the California Restaurant Association 2016 Best of the Valley in a variety of categories and against top-notch restaurants. And whereas Riley's Brew Pub has been awarded the Fresno Area Chapter Best of the Valley, Best Newcomer for 2016 by the California Restaurant Association. And whereas Riley's Brew Pub is to be applauded for receiving this significant award. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Madera, State of California, does hereby recognize Riley's Brewing Company, Riley's Brew Pub, for receiving the 2016 Best Newcomer Award from the California Restaurant Association.
I didn't hear that. Can you say it again? No, I brought this forward. You know, we have to celebrate all the good things that happen in Madera County, and you know, the brew pub may be in Clovis, but the beers come from Madera, which is the most important part of it, right? I mean, it's where does the beer come from? And I've toured Riley's Brewing, and I mean, it's just awesome to see the what you've done out there and the types of beers that you produce, as well as different spirits, the vodka, the gin. I don't even like gin. I like your gin. And I can't wait for the whiskey to come out. But, you know, you've been a great friend. You employ a number of employees. You know, you're what's right with Madera County. And when I saw this, I was just I was proud of you. The pub is awesome. We sat there and we were there for like 3 hours, and the food was great. Yeah, a lot of water. But you know, I'm just proud of what you're able to accomplish, and we love calling Riley's Brewing Madera's beer. You know, it's fun to see it at different places. Always order the Sancho whenever I can, whenever it's on the menu, and so you should be commended. And we just thank you for everything you do for our community.
I want to say a word about Daniel. We've been friends for some time, and I am too proud of your accomplishments, and I'm jealous that you're not from District 2. I'm really, but you're from Madera County, and that's what really counts. I've got to add, without unequivocally, that my favorite drinks come from Riley Brewing, and they're not all alcoholic. Some of them are like your root beer, amazing. If you want an amazing root beer, I love your hard root beer, but the root beer is really, really good. All of your drinks are amazing. They stand out. I've got to say, when my wife gets me a treat, it's from Riley's Brewing, and we can get them at Save Mart, and so it's awesome to be able to say you're from Madera County, and I knew you win. And we're just so proud of you. I wish we could name a street after you, because you've done some really neat things. You put us on the map in many ways, and that's your company speaks for itself. Thank you so much.
Most of the time when we have a recognition event, we have samples.
Yeah, I'll bring the pizza. And?
Thank you. It's embarrassing. I had no idea you were going to do all that. Wanted to also add on the addition is we won a silver medal for the Cougar for the California State Fair. So now
Oh, sorry. I guess, did I start again? Yeah. So anyway, they said it was embarrassing, but we won a silver medal in the Pale Ale category for the Cougar California State Fair. So that's a big deal. And our vodka got back from an international competition, and we got an 89. Wow. So it's a solid silver. Not just missed a gold by 1 point, but that puts us at the same level as Grey Goose and Kettle One.
Wow.
So that's international competition. So we've got a few more awards coming out. We've got about 9 awards now that we've already received. And we've got a few more at the state level, Great American Beer Festival, and then with the gin, that's, like you said, it's going to be entered here by the end of the year for another international competition.
Wow.
So we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, and it's all,
Thank you.
all right here in Madera County.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yes, sir. It is. There's a pub coming here someday after we're done with rail.
Yeah, after we get done with the rail, we've already started talking about bringing a brew pub here. So, Madera's
right by the maintenance.
Walking distance. Yeah.
Right. Madera's beer needs to have a brew pub here. So,
yes, sir.
Absolutely. We'll come down and take a picture.
Oh.
One more thing, great things don't happen by accident. They're planned for. And this man is the operations on the great thing. I don't know that. Thank you.
Item 7B, Fire Department, presentation of a proclamation recognizing April 23, 2017 through April 29, 2017 as Paid Call Firefighter Recognition Week. Whereas the Madera County Board of Supervisors recognizes the emergency services provided by paid call firefighters for the citizens of Madera County, and whereas paid call firefighters provide this service motivated by their altruistic belief in helping others, and whereas the fighter occupation is recognized as the most dangerous and life-threatening in the world, and whereas the paid call firefighters' sacrifices are so great, formal recognition of their efforts would be immensely rewarding and prestigious. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Madera, State of California, does hereby declare the week of April 23rd, 2017 through April 29th, 2017 as Paid Call Firefighter Recognition Week.
Chairman, Board of Supervisors, Matt Watson from the Fire Department. We actually have 3 volunteers in the audience, so I'd like them to come down and accept the award from you guys. Jerry Riggs, who will be addressing next after 44 years of service. Bob Kernigan, retired school teacher and long-term volunteer, and Frank Robinson from Chowchilla. So if you guys want to come on down and accept this award. or proclamation.
Ladies, do.
See him in action.
What they do is amazing.
Additionally, April 30th is the luncheon for the volunteer awards, and that's in Oakhurst on the 30th of April.
I was going to announce it. See, I had it here.
7C, presentation of a proclamation recognizing paid call firefighter Jerome Riggs for 44 years of dedicated service. Whereas Jerry Riggs, paid call fire captain with the Madera County Fire Department, is retiring after 44 years of dedicated service to the people of Madera County. And whereas Captain Riggs began his career at the Ahwahnee Volunteer Fire Station number 16 as a paid call firefighter on January 1st, 1973. He promoted to driver-operator in 1990 and eventually assumed the role as station captain, a role he has maintained for over 20 years. And whereas Captain Riggs has contributed greatly to his community over the years, unselfishly sacrificing time from work and family to provide emergency services to the people of Madera County. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of County Madera, State of California, does hereby commend Captain Jerry Riggs on his exemplary record of service to the citizens of the County of Madera and extend our gratitude and sincere best wishes on his retirement from the Madera County Fire Department.
Chairman, Board of Supervisors, if I could say a couple additional words for Jerry. Jerry, you want to come on down?
So do I.
So Jerry's not only served 44 years as a paid call firefighter, he started serving his community early on in the armed services of the United States. So he's had a lifetime of service, and anybody in Madera County that's been to a fire, been around a fire, everyone knows Jerry. Jerry always has a smile on his face. He's always there. He's always the person that's there, and always has a story to tell. So, yeah. Isn't that right, Jerry?
You're talking about my evil twin.
Yeah, we just want to thank Jerry for his dedicated service, and we appreciate the board recognizing him with a proclamation. Anything you'd like to say, Jerry? Okay. He wanted to be excused when he showed up this morning at 9:30, so we're making him stick around.
Let me say this.
Get by the mic.
There was no fanfare when I joined Company 16. Why are we having it now when I'm leaving? Or maybe it's yay. I don't know.
Hey, Jerry, I'd like to.
You're great. You're special. That's why.
Huh?
You're special.
I'd like to say a couple of things about you, Jerry.
Okay.
Hey, can you hear me, Jerry?
Yes.
Are you dreading it? I've known him forever. He actually married my girlfriend in high school, Mary Lou, and I went out with her a few times, and then they got married, and she just passed away last year. She's a great lady. She backed him for everything he ever done, and I seen him at the Raymond Parade Saturday and asked him how he's doing, and he says, I'm doing great. I got like 8 or 12 grandkids, 8 or 6 great-grandkids. He says, I can't even keep up with them all because most of them live in Ahwahnee and Oakhurst. So he will stay busy. He will always be doing things. He's never slowed down from the day I met him 50 years ago. So it's an honor to be your friend, Jerry, I tell you. We got some
public comment.
First, I wanted to thank Jerry. I've been on a few fires with him. I was career firefighter in Madera County for quite a few years. Most of most of you know, everybody knows up at the board, but most of the public knows there's only one person on an engine. And we can't put out fires without the volunteers. In the past, the volunteers have received recognition every year and as they retire, but they haven't received the support they need. This year at the retreat, the board selected emergency services as the #1 priority. I hope their support will improve to what they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good things just keep on giving. Above and beyond.
Let's take a 10-minute break.
Okay.
Item 7D, County Administration Department. Presentation from 5 Creative Group and direction to staff regarding updates to the county seal and brand development.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Eric Fleming, County Administrator. This morning we have a presentation from Ron Nickel with 5 Creative Group. Ron has helped us out in the past with design work here on some county projects. As your board will recall, you've recently expressed an interest in standardizing kind of the look of some of our communications, our letterhead, our email formats, business cards, and things like that. So in talking with Ron about doing so, we came to the conclusion that we probably needed, at a minimum, some updates in terms of our logo. So I guess with that, I'll turn it over to Ron, and he can kind of get into what he's come up with.
Good morning.
Yeah.
As Eric had mentioned, we've had several conversations concerning brand development, and my office, we do brand design and graphic development for many different brands. This project was initiated with the need of having some consistency pulled together in how the brand is executed and how it is used. As you're aware, as many entities that would use the logo and brand items during the course of the year. And so the initial task was to get that and really consolidate and have some consistency. So the first step we do is we basically make an assessment on our brand analysis. So we go in and look at what's happening currently and make some assessments. So So just our stated purpose there, provide analysis of existing brand identity to establish recommendations for a brand, what we would call a brand refresh. So our initial step was just taking a look at things, seeing where we stand. Some of our objectives that we pulled from that initial look at things are listed there. 1 being modernization of the current logo identity. 2, develop brand elements and standards. 3, create and implement a cohesive brand system. And 4, execute examples of brand in action, i.e. how the brand looks out into the public, how it is used throughout many different entities. So, next page there is a look at the current logo mark. And in our searching around, we found various degrees or I should say we found many variations of this mark being used. But this one here seemed to be the one that was the most consistent. And so some of the challenges that we pulled out of there are listed there. One being multiple versions and variations currently in use. And our assessment was an outdated mix of graphic techniques and styles. And we'll get to why that is, we feel that's an important issue. And one of those actually being the last one, graphic style mark, makes the mark difficult to reproduce consistently. So those were our initial challenge or assessments that we made of the current mark as it stands now. And maybe want to take a moment just to step back a little bit. When we talk about brand assessment and brand development, the brand really isn't the logo. We understand that. We know that the brand is who you are, and it's what you do. So when we say brand development, people tend to look directly at a logo and say that's sort of the definition of it. We understand that's not the case, but we do understand that it plays an important role as a graphic element that communicates to the public.
Real quick, Braun, right? Is your name?
Yes.
The last sentence says graphic style makes the mark difficult to reproduce. What do you mean by that?
If you just take, for instance, the illustration of the old the historical courthouse,
yeah.
It is in a sort of JPEG type format. So there's some technical challenge that come when you use that type of an image in conjunction with if you look at the county elements that are behind it, those are vector art pieces. So these are some technicalities, but what that does is there are two different techniques
on that. Okay.
Of distributing graphics.
Okay. But like if you were going to, it would be fine maybe if you were going to do a decal, but if you were going to do like an embroidery on a shirt, you're not going to be able to get that kind of, you couldn't reproduce that the same way as it would be on, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So in different mediums, it's going to come out differently and look differently, and depending on, if you're going to different print shops, they may not have the printing available to do that.
So various applications have been challenging because you have two different types of elements, and then it also affects reproduction of that. So if you have someone, say, in any office that needs to reproduce that, if they do not have the original form, each time they reproduce that, it's going to deteriorate that actual image. You guys actually exist right now. You have various degrees of that mark, and you can see how it has deteriorated. Even if you just Googled it, searched it online, you can see the variations of it as different entities have used it and reused it.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but when I look at the old logo, it's kind of cluttered to my eye, and it doesn't pop to me. It's kind of cluttered with too much detail, too much wordiness, and what have you. And your thoughts?
Well, that's a good segue because we're going to move right into that. Those are our thoughts exactly as we assess that. So if you take the technical challenges aside, just the aesthetic of it, we're looking at as well. So the first thing we do is we did a bit of a deconstruct process. So if you go to the next page there, and we just took the mark out without the wording. So if you take V1 there, what we did is we actually transferred the courthouse into what we call vector art. So we right now, that's as you see it on your mark that is existing, it's a JPEG or a photograph. We then redrew that in vector art so it matches the rest of the graphic elements in the logo. So that's V1. But again, we wanted to deconstruct because we feel like the logo is very busy, it's a bit complex, and all of those things add to less impact, in our opinion. So then you go to V2, which simplifies it. We removed the courthouse. Realizing that this may be a bit of an issue, not knowing I mean, we understand there's historical significance to this, and we understand there may be attachment to it. But in our opinion, we felt like we needed to deconstruct all the way by pulling that out. The other aspect of that, of the courthouse, is it's a sort of a separate element. If you just look at the positioning of it with the logo and its perspective versus what we're trying to do with the background mark, they're two very different angles and perspectives. And so we felt like if we pulled that out, we could simplify and be more concise with the mark. So then you would move from B2, and B2 is a simplification of the logos that you already, of the mark that you already have. B3 is where we would take it, which would be another step of modernization. And this is a graphic style that would simplify it and make it a bit more powerful of a mark.
It also adds in water there, too, it looks like.
I love the three rivers.
Right. So we, the next page there, you can see sort of our vector version of your existing mark, and then what we feel is a nice modernization of it. One of the things that we wanted to do was emphasize the connection to the Sierras and how those elements can be a little bit stronger versus the existing mark. And then we also wanted to simplify the graphic shapes. What that does is it helps like across the board with duplication, replication, signage, embroidery, badges, all across the board with these more simplified, more current-looking shapes. It's easier to reproduce and stay consistent. So we did not totally discard the idea of including the courthouse. So if you look at these three versions, we did our variation just to experiment a little bit with including the historic courthouse in the graphic form that we feel matches the rest of the mark. I would say this is not our recommendation, but we did want to present that as an idea, depending on the weight of the historical courthouse image. So these are two variations. One of them adds a fourth color to separate it, but this does give you an idea, even with this newer, more modern, progressive graphic technique, we could retain a little bit of the historical value if that was of interest.
Personally, I don't have any attachment to the courthouse. I'm District 2, and I find that the logo without it puts a better emphasis on the Sierra Nevada, the rivers, and the connection with the valley. I think it kind of unifies the thought of our valley, and it removes the specifics of Madera only to Madera County. I think it's more a unifying statement, and I really like it without it. I think the rivers are a definite plus in that unifying factor. As Tom has always said, your water comes from the Sierra Nevada. That's a fact. 60% of California's water comes from the Sierra Nevada. So that is a very unifying factor. We're in a symbiotic relationship, county-wide, district to district, and this demonstrates that very nicely.
Agreed. So next we break that down, and this ties into exactly what you're talking about. One, the advantages or the goals, with the new mark. One thing we want to keep in mind is preserve any of the qualities in the existing brand that we felt were important and critical to the communication. Two, simplify cleaner lines for more impactful presentation, and then graphic techniques that allow for consistent reproduction and use. And just a couple of little notes around the logo there itself. One thing we wanted to do is retain the county footprint, if you will, the shape of that. I think it's unique, obviously, to you. Important. And so we felt it was important to retain that. We have sort of deconstructed that a little bit, but I think it still retains that basic imagery. Again, we talked about the Sierras, and we thought it was a good focal point to focus on the connection to the Sierras in the center portion of the mark. And then, obviously, on the lower portion, the rich agricultural history to tie into that and bring those pieces together. Overall, giving it the whole mark or maybe I should go step back. We did retain the circular layout of the lettering. We introduced a new font, a little bit more of a modern font, eliminate any shadowing that happens or any sort of 3D effects to simplify it again for reproduction purposes. So those are some of the choices that we made moving forward. We did pull off the California portion of it. We didn't
like that. We'd like to be out of California.
State of Jefferson? Or
Ron?
Yes.
You know, you take the courthouse out, and to me, it looks blah. Without the courthouse in the logo, there's nothing there. I know Sierras are important. I know ag is very important, but the courthouse has always been on our logos, and with it on there, you can deviate a little bit, but as far as I'm concerned, it should stay in there, because without it, I don't see anything.
Max? Again, how did you feel about the mark with that we incorporated in the courthouse?
Yeah.
On the courthouse modernization one, do you like either one of those?
He's here. Yeah. There you go. Rogers? Supervisor Rogers? You want to say something?
No,
okay.
I'd already said it.
Tom Wheeler?
Yeah, I could go either way with the courthouse or not courthouse. The courthouse with the courthouse modernization, page 8 or whatever, I can't read it so small, but that looks like Highway 41 going up to Sierra instead of rivers. So, so we need 3 of them on there. So I like that. But if you made the courthouse smaller, I think that's one of the problems for me, is it's too big. Okay. So if you shrunk that in that page 8, made it smaller, and I think I like the purple one better than that gray one, and that's not even bad when you got on page, I don't know what page it is, where the straight line is this one, and where you got the courthouse in it. But right under county, I'd still like to put under there established 1893. I don't want to leave that out on any of it, I don't think, personally.
Yeah.
Yes. Whether we go straight or circle, maybe it's time for a change to make it straight line.
You like the 3 rivers, though. I do, too.
Yeah, I like 3 rivers. If you made the courthouse smaller, and put it down into the ag just a little bit more, and then put the 3 rivers on it, I think would be better.
Okay.
That's my opinion. But the courthouse go either way. I mean, I'm like David. It's not my bag. It's down here, so it's. Yeah.
And again, we can appreciate the historical significance of that, and it is a uniqueness to the county, so we understand that. So we can look at maybe some messing with that variation where we would incorporate that but yet still in keeping with a little bit more of the prominence of the Sierra connection, which could be as easy as reducing that somewhat.
And while you're on it, the page you got with the 311 and all the different stuff, all the different departments and stuff like that, and our names, the round probably does a little bit better than the rectangle one, probably. So,
and so we actually feel like these would actually be, it wouldn't be a matter of us having to choose between these two. You can have different formats within the logo brand itself. So when it lends itself, say, to, our website, a horizontal format will work much better, say, than the circular format. So these can be looked at a case-by-case basis and still would be within the brand, what we would consider the brand styles.
Yeah, right, because you wouldn't want a horizontal lapel pin, right. Kind of awkward. I'm wondering, and I love the courthouse. It's not in my district, but I still have a very deep connection to it. It's one of those things I've been going to since I was a kid. It's the prettiest building in Madera County. I think that's why it's been highlighted. And I like the fact that it kind of brings in some notion of justice and kind of a tie to our past. That's what I like about it. I almost like the gray one better just because it is gray. But I was wondering on the font how quickly does this become outdated? Why not just a simple block one that is just maybe more professional than? And I like that this one isn't like every single letter has like a sweep and everything, but I just kind of like without those little sweeps on the A's and the
I didn't
T and
like
the Y.
those either. They like
I just think that if it's going to be a professional deal, just have it professional. Not that this wouldn't be considered that, but we still are a government entity. We're not. I just maybe take those sweeps out. Other than that, I like it. I think we always need to be looking at our brand and how we present ourselves and what it looks like out there. But you see the pins, right? What we have now, and they're just so muddled and murky. There's it never looks the same. That looks good because it's etched in, but you can't reproduce that. It looks bad. So I like the updating of this.
Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to mention that I agree with the chairman and Supervisor Frazier in regards to incorporating the courthouse some way for the reasons that they mentioned. But the other thing, I think that when we look into the logo modernization, I think it's due, and I think it's a great opportunity. And the timing's right, because we have, we're talking about, some new plans, some new directions, some strategic plans, and something that's going to take us out, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And so I think that when we look at this, and from your perspective, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at for something that's going to represent, a new approach and lots of things happening, on Highway 41 and 12 and Amtrak stations, things of that sort, and more to come, a lot of great things. And so, what we want to do is look at something that's going to last. It's not, after 20 years, it's not going to look outdated. It's not going to look, we need to go through here and rebrand. So that's, I'm not looking at things, I'm not an expert when it comes to, logo modernization, but, that's something that I would lean on, professionals to keep in mind when we're looking at this, and that we time it. I think this is a great opportunity for us to time the modernization with some of these things that we're working on.
Agreed. And every one of the steps that we've taken, we are looking at, the longevity of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the font, for instance, we do want something that is, I don't know if I'd call it traditional, but we would want to stick to things that are somewhat traditional. We felt this had a little bit of a flair to it, but not too much, to kind of give it some unique and a little bit of personality. But I don't know that that's a huge issue at all. And then the pieces themselves, the graphic elements, we really wanted to keep them simple and clean lines so that we get away from any sort of trendy. If you take a look at the current logo, there are some trendy things that happened there with some shadowing and effects and things like that. So we're trying to keep it, in essence, a flat mark graphically, and then we keep everything in a vector, which is a line art system, so that it's very simplified, and we don't have to rely on any of the 3D effects or any other sort of different effects. And it also helps with us in reproducing the colors correctly, consistently, and there'll be more powerful palette of colors that'll come through on that versus, if you take the courthouse now, you're relying on some shadowing, and then and depending on how it was reproduced, there's a lot of little detail buried in there that does muddy that up. So we're trying to avoid any of that actually happening.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah. If you look at that V3, there's a couple of things I think Brett said about those little pointer deals on the A and the T and the Y. You also have it on that on the first green in the ag part of it below the courthouse on it. It's got that point on it. If you go back to V3, you just moved the green at a different position, so you took that pointed thing out with that little tie end on there. One looks a lot better than that little point deal. But can you make that, like on V3, got the rivers, got all the stuff we're looking at, can you make that courthouse fit in there where it's partly in the ag and right below that main middle river and make it about, like maybe a third or half that size.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, that's possible, but we just have to be really careful when we look at a minimum size.
Yeah.
It's shrunk down. If that courthouse, then we're going to start to lose detail. And let's say the windows, for instance, they start to close in because it becomes a much smaller element.
Yeah.
So there's a balance there.
Well, it's closed in like on this already, see, so.
So we want to avoid as many of those challenges as we can moving forward. But is it possible to reduce that? Yes. And include the rivers? I think so.
Supervisor Rogers?
I really like
There's just that kind of dots on that.
kind of somewhat absent in our other.
If it was moved up there, I think it would show
Sierra
better.
Nevadas and the Three Rivers, that's real important to me. And of course,
I don't mean nothing on that thing to me.
I like the idea of shrinking that down.
It showed that, that main part right from there,
Somehow
the
fitting
steeple
it in.
of the
Maybe
main
we get
part.
so we don't lose those three rivers. You're the artist.
Well, and an interesting thing about that is I did not want to mess with that area.
Right.
But the courthouse, as you look at the logo now, the courthouse sort of really weights down the bottom of the mark.
It does.
Tremendously. So we were trying to avoid.
If you look at on this thing, you can't hardly tell it. You don't know it's a courthouse.
Yeah, you can't see it. Well,
So
another
that's why
thing,
we moved to the center.
yeah,
you know,
I'd like to
center.
remind the board too that some of your most well-known logos in the world are very simple, like Pepsi. You can't miss that in Coke. I mean, they're just very simple logos. They're branding, and it's just when people look at something, their initial reaction, their initial eye-catching thought.
Well, that's what we do.
And
D3.
what we have now is so cluttered, I have to look at it a little bit to think to myself, what does that represent? Even though I know what it represents. But your mind is going like this until you center on it and figure out what it is. I like the simple. I really think that's an important component of what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know, I think Supervisor Poitras had said the timing is right, and I agree with that. Are we somewhat getting the cart before the horse, though? We need to know what it is, our brand, before we understand what we want to convey, right? So it's kind of hard. You're just taking what we have existing and just trying to deconstruct it to make it what it is right now much better. And I think you did a great job with it. But I think if we were to even give you more creative license to look at and told you what it is that we want to be as a brand or what we're trying to convey, I'm sure you would have even, like this design would be much different than what it is now.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. We realized that we were jumping in. We were sort of jumping ahead of ourselves because with rebranding, you have to go back to the brand itself. And again, this is a
logo. Yeah.
So we did not go through that exercise,
right?
Which we typically would. So what we worked off of and based our decisions on was just our own research of what's going on in the county, conversations with Eric about it. And then looking at the logo itself as it exists today and saying, okay, what is important about it? What should we retain? And what are the things? And do those match up with sort of what we discovered? And again, that is our framework. You're right. And so there could be a different framework that could happen if, say, we did a study. You get input from the public. You get all these kind of things, so you can get a lot of new information potentially. But again, I think we simplified things and focused on what we thought were the key elements, which I don't think I would venture to say those two wouldn't change.
Yeah. Yeah, there's elements that are inextricable from who Madera County is, and no one's ever going to pull those out. I mean, you've got the Sierras and the Ag. I mean, that's our main two.
Guys, let's include the public in this. Let's get there. We have one speaker over there. Come on up, Sadrio. Dale Drozen, Fresno County resident, Madera County taxpayer. For my thinking, you could take out the sunburst. That could be, you're trying to fit the courthouse in, and you've got a third sunburst, a third Sierra, and a third of the ag. If you took the sunburst off the top of it, and you had the Sierra at the top, and then you've got room to fit the courthouse in without shrinking it to nothing, and then the ag below. And I agree that the three rivers are very important. That's what keeps this county alive.
What's the sun, too?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to make your board aware that Ron did do a presentation in front of the department heads at one of our department head meetings, and we solicited feedback from the department heads, and that went into what you're seeing today as well.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. What a wonderful thing to talk about, design. Most of you know I enjoy such things. Great process. Working with Ron is always awesome. We work with him some other issues on design. The one input I did have, what's the importance of that old courthouse? It's the county seat, right? Everything, literally, in the old days, flowed out of the mountains, had to end up there. The sheriff used to be stationed there, the assessor, right? It was more than just a courthouse. So that's, I think, one of the things you might want to mention, that it is the county seat, right, is the issue. I just thought graphically, the new logo, if the county the county outline maybe had a black border around it, what that might look like. It's a simple thing, right? Because you have the three colors and would unify the actual border because how it bleeds out. But what a great process, and looking at doing it in different ways as long as it's consistent, and also standardizing it, because boy, we see stuff all over the place. It's good. So just wanted to give those brief comments, but just what an enjoyable process as compared to some of the things we have to endure. Thank you.
Still can't hear you.
Mike, Norm turned it off because...
Oh, sorry. Janice Gomes, Madera County. I like the idea of the courthouse being in there, but if you keep the sun, can you make the sun into a heart?
Oh, like the heart of California.
I know it's that graphic that it's normal, just round, but if you keep it, I'd like to see it in a heart. That's my comment.
See it in the heart of it, you said?
Like as a heart, like the heart.
The sun in the shape of a heart.
Be a heart shape.
Oh.
Let the rays come out.
Oh, the sun, yeah. Yeah, we don't, that sun don't mean nothing, really. I don't know why we have it there.
The sun means future. I mean, if you had the courthouse is the link to the past, the sun is the future. That's how I read it.
Oh.
It's very deep.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yeah, that is deep. Pretty creative. Well, actually, to that point, and to sort of Norm's comment about the border, the reason we took the border off is because we wanted the sense of, and the reason that the sun rays are the way they are and the row crops are the way they are, is because they're expanding outward. Rather than if your old logo has a border around it, which does confine everything, I get that, and it does define the shape. But we like the idea of sort of the more progressive, looking ahead, outward growth,
like we're doing,
sensibility to that. And that's why I think the sun's important.
Without borders.
Without borders, and a heart with a little smile on it. But so those are things you can look at to maybe make the sun more unique looking as a shape. If you feel like it's too generic in its design right now, but I do think it's an important part of the story.
I also think the third color really makes it pop. Without that third color,
the fourth color? Or?
No, that third color. It really makes it pop.
So you're saying only three colors and not four?
Well, no, I'm saying without the sun, you'd really have a kind of a demure.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It'd be a little demure, and it just makes it pop. It draws your attention.
Too bright a color.
Yeah.
One of our original designs, we kept the sky blue and the sun was reversed out.
Yeah, it's on that V2 and V1. You got that.
It did not. Again, we just felt like it didn't have that energy to it.
It doesn't define. It really doesn't define the space either, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's. I think it's great the way you got it. It's just.
Okay, those are good comments. We appreciate that. And so our process would be to take sort of the information that you've given us today and kind of work through the process. But there is a bigger question of the branding, which
which needs to be addressed, because that would affect the bigger picture, which this is inside of. And so I think that is a task that needs to be looked at, because the thing about that is it affects all of these elements where the logo plays a part. If you take, say, your website, your communication to everybody else, your signage, anything that goes out to the public, how this works with those other elements and the messaging, the stories you're trying to tell, the information you're trying to distribute, all of those things are really, those are the core pieces of the brand. This really is a nice vehicle to distribute that. So that does need to be addressed. We thought this was a way to go about it, even though that wasn't our task at hand, at least to introduce that thought process. So if you kind of work through the rest of these slides, we just did some examples to show it in use. One of our ultimate goals would be to create a standards guide or a color, not a color guide, but it would include a color guide. We would do a standards guide so that widely used, the logo would be consistent as possible, and there would be a resource for people to go to access these pieces, and they would be consistent. So there would be a standards guide, things like font treatments, font usage, styles, things like that would be included. And then originally the project, one of our focal points was how do we address the business side of these materials, meaning business card, electronic messages, could be memos, those types of things. So one of the things we started to think about was incorporating a mark with a system that would work with the new look, incorporate a standard for that so that it could be widely used, and then also help us. There's a business card design, front and back. So this would basically be what is maybe not as used as often as maybe it used to be, would be a stationary letterhead. One of the things we did look at was how does this affect the other entities that are within the county, meaning sheriff, a district attorney, fire, for instance. So we started to look at creating a sort of somewhat of a masthead or a unit where the logo would be stored with that bar, and those would be at the bottom of the letter stationery. That would be a consistent element. And at the top, we would include the mark of that entity, which, say, for instance, the sheriff's logo badge. And then we could associate that with a color, and that band would then go across the top, and those would differentiate, those different entities within the county. So this was one of the original discussions, was how do we kind of organize things, and how does, if we do something new with the mark, how does that affect everybody else? And then this also would start to answer the question of continuity, how to use different pieces and elements, and have some organization to it. And that just shows a closer view of sort of that unit that would be...
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to let Ron know that this letterhead is so 2016. No, he doesn't have the correct District 3 supervisor listed.
When I came in, I was looking at the names.
Do we have any other bids from any other firms or anything?
Yeah. Let me guess who you are.
Rick.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's horrible. Well done. And then, so this goes into, I'll segue that from there into other marketing materials, and just sort of usage and how it appears with other elements and photography, things like that. And we'll typically go through this sort of study when we look at a mark and how it's used out in the public, prints on a flag, brochure, things like that. And then online experience. One thing this mark will do well is function online well. It reproduces well in a digital world, simply because of that simplification of the graphics. And this is also where you can kind of see the different implementation of a horizontal version versus the circular.
Yeah, brought on that same idea on the internet stuff. When we do our new website launch, and we're going to get going on that, we could do these all at the same time. Put it on there and do all the PR stuff we're going to be doing to show that we're out here trying to make Madera County better out here. We could do it all, because we really need to do that, get that website going, too. I know somebody working on that.
Yes, sir, Supervisor Wheeler. As a matter of fact, we have a committee that met yesterday. Tanya and Bruce are on the committee, and there's several other people from different departments. And that was one of the things we also thought is the timing's real good for this. And in addition, we're heading into our 125th year anniversary, so we've got a lot of things to celebrate.
We got to make sure we do this, launch it.
And the last time we updated our website was when we became a county 125 years ago.
I love it.
I actually wanted to.
That's early version.
No, that's funny.
Yeah. All right. So what are we going to suggest? Let's move on.
I wanted to.
Ron can take it back and redesign and bring it back to another date.
Well, I wanted to make a comment on the branding itself. I think you're headed in the right direction because there's three economic drivers in Madera County: tourism, and that's largely related to the mountains; agriculture, and industry, and the industry is directly related to agriculture. So I think you've really captured in your logo the idea of what we are already and where we're headed, because we recognize you in this situation. There's not a new direction to head, just perfecting what we already have and what we do. And I think that really codified it. Your brand really says that. And I like the artistic field that Supervisor Frazier mentioned about that, the expanding out in directions, and the future, the past. We bring all that with it.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yeah. Again, I'm just going to restate that I think we need to know what our brand is before we know what our logo is. So I think we need to do some more work in terms of that. I think after our management retreat, we have to ask ourselves, does this portray a culture of excellence? Is this what we want? And so in terms of the standards of colors, I'd like to actually see that gray added into that palette, because I think, the yellow sometimes, if you're putting that out there, that can make it seem a little, not cartoonish, I don't know if I'm using the right word, but when you have, like, if you put your thumb over the yellow sun on that one, you see that blue, gray, and green on the alternatives. I mean, I think that, to me, is a very strong palette that looks very excellent, like it would be the culture of excellence. So adding that gray into that standard of colors, I think, can make some things very powerful too.
Yeah.
The courthouse, I'm just talking about, like, as we're doing, any of these letterheads, anything like that, the gray, I think the gray, blue, and green is a very, if you go to Seattle, and everything is, they have, the entire city is basically that lime green and the dark blue, and it's everywhere. It permeates everything, and you feel like a sense of connection there. In San Francisco, you feel kind of, depending on the areas, the blacks and oranges and the reds and golds, and it kind of brings it all together. A lot of it goes around the sports teams, but
it makes sense that it would be gray too, because the courthouse is granite.
We have the granite that brings in another part of our. We don't want to bring in brown, dookie brown, or anything, but for wood. But I just think it's
That's just for summer.
It's a strong professional color, I think.
So that goes to the question of the brand itself. Say, for instance, okay, our focus of our brand is on growth and industry. I could see where that could lead you to the road of having a color palette with gray, blue, and green. Mm-hmm. But let's say part of it is diversity is important to us in our people and in the way we function and how we go about business. So then that might be a case for why yellow, and another color in there would be match up with that branding vision and mission. Mm-hmm. So that's where it actually does connect, I think, and makes sense. Sure, could you go through and just say, let's just pick the colors we like? And would it really matter?
It does, though.
Some say yes, some say no. I say yes, but I say those are the pieces that would drive that decision.
Yeah, and then if we
what the board, what are instructions to go?
Have him bring it back next meeting.
Do it. Okay.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for your excellent work.
Thank you.
Picture, beautiful blue.
7E, County Administration Department Fire Equipment Purchase. 1, discussion and consideration of approval of a resolution authorizing the county administrative officer or designee to place orders for fire equipment. 2, consideration of approval of transfer of appropriations number 16-213 from the amount of $10,000, transfer from Fire Prevention, Professional and Specialized Services, CDF, to Fire Prevention, Equipment Furniture, Fire 5,000 for the fiscal year 2016-17 for the purchase deposit of 1 water tender.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joel Begay, County Administrative Office, and with me today is Matt Watson from Madera County Fire. We are back in front of your board today to seek approval in proceeding with the first round of fire equipment purchases under the new fire equipment policy that was approved by your board last November. The recommended actions will authorize the CAO or his designee to place the fire equipment orders by April 30, 2017, allowing the county to lock in the price before a scheduled price increase May 1st. The equipment will be recommended to be financed using a lease purchase through the Cal Lease program, and the departments will return to your board for approval of the lease documents once it is finalized. The ongoing cost of the lease will be funded in the 2017-18 budget year through a fire equipment replacement reserve that will be created from projected savings in the fire prevention budget. I will now turn over to Matt, who will go over the equipment that will be purchased.
Chairman, Board of Supervisors, Matt Watson. Just as Joel was stating, there is a price scheduled increase with the new vehicles starting May 1st. So we were hoping to be able to move forward. We were working with Joel to try to secure that. Joel was trying to secure the financing. There were some issues that came up with the company. So what we needed today was approval to move forward with these orders to stay in realm of this fire equipment replacement plan and reserve policy. So what we'll do is, if you guys give us authorization to sign, we'll have Eric or his designee sign that. We'll be able to have someone sign that contract today, lock that price in, and then once these pieces of equipment show up, we'll reassess the policy. And if you guys remember, it was determined on age, miles, hours of use, types of service, reliability, maintenance, cost, repair, and condition. So we'll reassess this and then determine where those will be placed at that time. Any questions?
Yeah. Now, we ordered 2 already last year.
Mike?
We ordered 2 water tenders, correct, last
This
year.
will be the third one.
Yes, this will be the third one as part of that replacement program.
I just wanted to make sure on the public, too, so we're not sitting around conscious and not doing any of this stuff. So if this is perfect.
Mike?
I can't. The mic's off.
Your mic's off.
I said, this is just perfect. This is what we've been talking about, what we've been trying to do forever, and it's just, thank you, guys.
Restate that.
Supervisor third.
Yes, I was just going to, comment about the same as, this is something that is needed. House burned down because we didn't have anybody able to drive the water tender there. We now have water tender, or these will be the third water tender that will allow for anybody to drive it, correct? No, not anybody, but...
Yeah, so these will be the same tactical water tenders, 2,000-gallon, 2-axle, only requires C driver's license, firefighter endorsement. So this will open up the driving pool for the volunteer firefighters, and we'll be able to cross-staff it with career staff and the paid call firefighters.
So my only question, does this make it, will this make it safer for the citizens?
Definitely makes it safer for the citizens with these tactical water tenders, as we had talked previously, but we're able to drop a tank there, a portable tank, and leave the 2,000 gallons of water on scene so they can load and return, which helps with the fire flow and should help with ISO ratings.
Does it help the safety for the firefighter and the paid call firefighter?
It definitely helps. There's been fires over the last year or so that we've ran out of water.
Yeah.
And so basically we left one firefighter at scene and we sent all the fire equipment back to go try to get water.
And we have the money to do this?
Yes, Supervisor. Based on the projections through 9 months of the year, we will have a balance in the fire prevention budget. And as the fire policy states, the fire equipment replacement and reserve policy, we will move those funds into a reserve fund. And once we lock the financing in, first payment isn't usually due until after 6 months, so that will hit 17-18 budget, and we'll program that in.
And we have the money because we set it aside.
Correct.
Starting last year during the budget to start budgeting for these replacement programs, correct?
And approval of the policy
So it's
in
not
November.
new money, it's because we set it aside to begin with because this was important.
Right.
And
just wanted to...
When will they be delivered?
I don't remember the exact date on those water tenders, but if you remember, we had to come back to the board because we actually missed the window to order the chassis that year because they only do a manufacturer run of 1 or 2 months, and so that was extended. I believe they're being worked on now. I'd have to get back to the specific date.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want the public to miss that this is our third replacement, and Tom's mic was off earlier, and I appreciate Brett's emphasis. This is due to planning. This is not spur of the moment.
And we're probably able to get a better price because we planned for it ahead of time, correct?
Yeah, that's affirmative. I mean, we're able to, and that's part of us locking it in now, is it reduces the price. I think it was a 5% increase if we waited even one more month. And then you got to remember also there's a year build time on these. So from the day we place the order, it's 365 days to 410 days to receive the equipment, plus the in-service time it takes us to put it in service.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's open it up to the public.
Now, is the plan in the future that this type of water tender is going to replace the old style as we replace each one of them, one-on-one replacement?
Yeah, Dale, so the equipment replacement plan identified the tactical water tenders, and we have a very diverse county. I mean, we have the agricultural land down here where it's flat. You get up in the mountains, these tight driveways, roads that were constructed prior to Public Resource Code 4290, they're too narrow. So we're able to get these in there. They're easy to drive, they're easy to maneuver. And also, we're reducing the current water tenders we have are 3,000 to 4,000 gallons. But if you look at deaths of volunteer paid call firefighters, most of those deaths are due to vehicle accident rollovers that were in a water tender. So this is a smaller vehicle, easy to maneuver.
Yeah. I saw one burn up, too, because it was pretty large, and it was stuck in the sand. They couldn't get it out. Burned up here in Chowchilla.
Question, is the future plan to use this type of water tender replacing the old style on a one-on-one basis as we go through the years?
Yes.
Great. The other thing is, since these are on lease purchase, are they going to show as a debt, or is it?
They have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring it back to the board.
I move that we approve.
Second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor, was it Poitras?
No. Supervisor Wheeler.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Absolutely, yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
7F, Fire Department. Discussion and consideration of approval to eliminate one account clerk 1-2 position from the fire department and add one account technician 1-2 position and direct human resources to amend position allocation.
You're getting pretty good to this today.
Yeah, Matt Watson,
You're
Fire
all
Department.
over the place today. Might as well join us.
So we've been reassessing the administrative staff of the fire department, and this is kind of a long-term plan we've been working towards, and duties have changed over the years. And then we were also looking for a position that if we had a vacancy, then we'd be able to mentor someone, start them in a lower position and work them up. And just depending with where the hiring lists were at that point. Currently, I think was approved last week is there's a new account technician 2 list out. So, we'd be able to get hopefully a good choice for a candidate. Heather Evans, who has been in this position for the fire department, is moving to Louisiana. So she's going to be greatly missed. She's done a lot for the fire department, and the timing of this is kind of good and kind of bad. It's hard for me to see her leave because she's been so helpful. but also if she is leaving, this gives us the chance to have a new pool of candidates. So we have reduced one of our office positions from an administrative assistant to a office assistant 1. So, and then we have also additional accounting responsibilities with the different development agreements to Cerro Viejo, Riverstone. Our unanticipated revenue, we average about $600,000 a year over the last 10 years, and that amount is from billing the state and federal government for our equipment use on time on their fires. So it's a very technical position, and it also does some HR responsibilities for payroll, the volunteers. So it's a pretty significant position. And
move to approve. Second. Go public. Any public comment? Norm has one.
Oh, Norm. I'm hungry, too. I just wanted to let everybody know that Heather Krause's going-away party is Sunday, 1 p.m. at Back Street. Good friend of mine, too. We're going to miss her. Heather's going-away party. Thanks.
Okay, bring back to the board. Their motion? Second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0. 7G, Information Technology Department, Microsoft Enterprise Agreement. 1, discussion and consideration of entering into a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement software licensing program for the 36-month duration of the contract. 2, discussion and consideration of approval to complete appropriate enrollment forms, agreements, and licensing true-ups on behalf of the County of Madera, and to authorize the Office of Information Technology Director to sign.
Move to approve.
Second.
Good morning, Tanya Say, Chief Information Officer.
Yeah, I'm serious. We have to do this.
No, we have to listen.
Yeah.
Okay, this is basically a way for us to get our mandatory licensing, simplify the mandatory licensing program. We have to have the licenses. This is a way to make sure that we, are able to budget for it easily, and it's predictive budgeting. It also makes sure that we are totally compliant with our licensing needs. It also allows for some future growth in areas that we didn't even expect when we set out to do this project. We found out that Office 365 and the whole Microsoft suite has a lot of good options for us to consider.
Yeah, this is, again, this is...
Take it out to the public. Bring it back.
Second. Yeah, motion.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Keep it up.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
We need it, and it's going to be more cost-effective later.
7H, Public Works Department. Discussion and direction to staff regarding Public Works Department fees.
Hey.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Adel Khat, Public Works Director, here with the Chief of Development Services, Mr. Norman Allender, and Jared Carter, Deputy Director. First, a quick correction. There is an Exhibit A that was delivered, a hard copy to each one of you, which will replace whatever is on the computer in the agenda. Anyway, this item here is basically Public Works is coming to you for direction and discussion to look into our fee structure. The Public Works Department is in the process of reviewing the current fee structure to ensure that the fee charges adequately cover the costs for services. This will be the first time that such a review will be performed after the creation of the Public Works Department. The last study was done in 2007 under the Road Department and the Engineering Department, and with that there was no Consumer Price Index multiplier in it or any other things for future updates. So we are here to look at these fees, make sure they are proper to cover our cost, also find some other fees that we do provide the services without being, compensated for the cost. And we're here at your direction.
And then, Chairman, just let me add. So an example would be traffic study. I think that one goes back to 2003. There's 2007 and 2003. Traffic study hasn't been adjusted for over 10 years, $600 flat fee to review a traffic study. Normally in CED, where we've adjusted these types of things, where we're reviewing a special study, a base fee of $1,500, because these have to be reviewed by engineers and technical people, $1,500 base fee plus a time and materials fee. Is it a simple traffic study for a dairy? Yes. Or is it a complex traffic study for the Castellino project, right, which would take a lot more effort? So putting these base fees plus a time and materials component puts it at the right size also for the applicant, right? I mean, some jobs are a $1,500 job, some jobs are a $15,000 job. Yeah. The other one is your board gave direction that all water supply assessments in this county be ran through Public Works instead of having the applicants prepare them. We have no fee to review a water supply assessment. We have no current established fee for that, right? So that's one of the issues. So do we need to do a comprehensive big study? Yes. But I would suggest that there are about a half a dozen fees within the next 45 days we should take a real hard look at, because that stuff's coming right now. And as your board knows, and Eric is very, very clear about, net county cost means something, right? And if we're performing a service, these fees go directly to pay for staff. This is directly what they pay for. So I wanted to point out some of the more acute situations. And while we want to look at all the fees, I would welcome some direction that says do a comprehensive look. However, in the next short term, let's look at several of them to get in place quickly or adjusted quickly, because this work is coming currently. Thank you.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Jared, would you like to describe Exhibit A and B real briefly?
I was going to talk about those,
okay,
actually. I've got it here in front of me. I was looking at them last night, and you use Fresno and Kern County. It's really weird how some of these counties don't charge nothing for some of these things. I mean, is it because they charge a flat higher fee for a whole, like,
yes, sir,
or something? Or
so either, I mean, in my experiences, there's certain services, like let's just talk about staffing the front counter, right? We staff the front counter for public information. In our cost to perform fees and services for our entire deal, we absorb that cost in there. So it's no different.
Well,
some communities.
When you've done that study,
yes, sir.
They explained to us back then that they tried to take that in consideration. Say it was just say a plain building permit.
Yes.
They put in a certain amount for the front desk, for the fires, for the roads, for the environment, and that's how they've done that, right?
And so what's happening in a situation where there's no fee? It's either absorbed by other fees,
right,
or the general fund in those communities are supporting that activity, right? So there's your only two options, really. You have a general fund support of it, or you using a portion of other fees to provide some minor day-to-day service, right? It's very, very difficult, say, in like these restricted funds. Some of the public works funds are highly restricted.
Right.
So it makes it difficult for them to, a person working under the road fund to answer a phone call for somebody who has a water problem. Could they solve the problem? Yes. But we have the issue of funding sources, and that becomes complex. But there's really two options. It's either coming out of a fee program or it's coming out of the general fund.
Right. Yes. Well, I think that we could have the general fee process take care of that. But also, is there a way to put the CPI in it so it can be adjusted every year?
Yeah,
I don't know why we didn't do that in 2007. We've done this. It don't make sense.
Yes, sir. That's one of the biggest things, obviously, and your board direction has been ever since I've been here. Every time we bring a fee, any kind of deal, we add a CPI to it,
right.
And we don't come back for the CPI. It's an automatic CPI, right? It's
just if we have to readjust something that you find out that it ain't working.
Right. Exactly.
And
yeah.
So I'm against all fees, naturally, you know that, but because we pay enough taxes to do all this, but I know we got to do this, and the main thing is that I just want to make sure whatever we approve, board, that we put that CPI in this. And I was looking at some of these other. It looks like that we're kind of in between Kern and Fresno County and all these numbers, right?
I'm sorry.
It looks like we're kind of in between. Our costs
currently, yeah, we are.
Kern and Fresno County.
Yeah, Exhibit A I like a lot because it gives us where it would be on the CPI for the.
Well, that's fine with that, but that don't compare with this.
Yeah, with the
like
other counties.
Yeah,
and so we definitely want to be competitive also on the fee side, right?
Right.
We want to recover our costs, but we don't want it to be so high that I mean, again, the difference between $27 and $29 isn't going to drive somebody to Fresno County, but some of these other fees could be considerable. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to support moving forward with the study for fees for public works. It's
It's not a penalty that we're assessing, it's just a recovery of costs that are necessary, and if we don't have those costs covered, there's a lot of times we can't provide that service, and so people, that's one of the things that if you're a developer or a home builder, whatever it is, you want to have costs as low as possible, but you also want to move forward with your project. So, and the way to do that is to be staffed to the point that you can provide that service. So anyway, just want to provide that direction.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yeah, as one who pays these fees quite regularly during my course of business, I don't mind paying these fees. I'd rather pay these fees than have less money in the general fund to take care of fire and police. I think that is an unconscionable decision, and I can't go there. I can't bring myself to go there. I think that services that are rendered outside of the course of public safety are to be paid for. Mm-hmm. And our taxes don't cover that. Our taxes cover police and fire, and that's what they're supposed to deal with. That's the first and foremost and primary. And outside of that, we are obligated to take care of business, and we're going to use those services. We need to pay for them. Bottom line, the general public's under no obligation to pay for me to do an encroachment permit for a driveway. That's my responsibility.
Yeah, actually, I was going to just hit that exact thing. The general public pays in their taxes, and David Rogers, the citizen, pays his general taxes to pay for all of the services that everybody uses every day. Whereas in this case, David Rogers, the contractor, the builder, he's the one that wants that encroachment permit. He's the one that needs, whatever the permit is for his project, for his own betterment.
For profit.
For profit. He's paying for that, and he should pay for that. Just like any of the developers, the person in the ranchos shouldn't have to pay for anything that goes on that relates to public works for Riverstone. Right. That's the developer. That's the applicant that should pay for that. So, and they know that there are costs associated with those things, and I think that we should absolutely go forward with this because.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah. So, these numbers you gave us here on this one today, is that what you're proposing, or is that what you want to?
So today is informational and direction. What you'll get back if we receive such direction, my preference would be there's a larger situation we need to look at, but there are probably things like traffic technical memorandums, flood hazard evaluation, flood zone construction. Those are things that we don't collect any money for. So there'd be a two-step. There's some we should do, I think, in the short term, and some we should look at long term.
Well, when will you bring this back?
I'd like to be back here. I'd like to be back here in 45 days with some of these really short-term ones, and then the longer-term ones we'll be reporting back to the board and put the effort in. Yes, sir.
That's good. Very good.
We can't just keep waiting. So
yeah.
Yeah, the example brought up by Mr. Allender.
Is it on?
It's on.
Oh, okay.
The example brought up by Mr. Allender about the traffic studies and how, it can vary by project. I think most of the fees have that same component to them. There should be a way that they vary according to the size. If I'm going to build a storage shed behind my house, the fee and the permits shouldn't be as much as somebody that's building a very large house.
It's all square footage and stuff.
Yeah. Right. That needs to be built into it. There should be a cost of living built in, so it goes up and you don't have to do this. But there should also be an internal audit of how the fees are matching the size of the project and being able to balance them without going through a full-blown study on it. When you see that something is out of balance on how people are being charged, should be able to bring it back to the board annually and get it tweaked.
Absolutely. We regularly do that. We do what's known as time studies. So we'll take a give somebody a project and have them literally document how much time they work on it. So we do those from time to time, yes. So those are both good points. Those are all good points, and those are things we do, yes.
And we do those right now with the planning fees, right?
Yeah, I use the experience of planning and CED, right? We have been here several times to make sure that we get, don't hit a 5-pound problem with a 10-pound hammer, right? So charge the right fee, make sure you have the flexibility to charge the right fee, which the board delegates to the department heads, and then also make sure we go back and review. You'll recall a few years ago, we adjusted every fee and CED. All but 2 of them, I think, went down. 2 of them went up, and 1 was a new fee. But for the most part, we adjusted them all down across the board. So we do that regularly, and as the board knows and the public, I let them know, if we don't get it right, I'm going to be right back here fixing it,
Right. Well, you did on one of them. Remember when we passed that, there was something that a month or 2 later you come back and, because when I reported that to my town hall that time at Oakers, there was no objections at all, even from the Tea Party.
Let's bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll move this forward to get it back in 45
Chairman,
days.
Pardon me, I don't believe this has been agendized for a motion.
Well, just direction.
Just direction, sir.
You have your direction, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do your directions.
I wanted to just say to keep doing what you're doing. Every year you evaluate these things. It's not something new. You have been doing it. And I think you're really on track where this is real zero-based budgeting on this. And that's important for government because typically you get a lot of people to just add 5% every year, and we don't do that here. We have not been doing that for some time. So thank you.
Norman, don't be afraid to raise it where they should be.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll move on.
7I, Water and Natural Resources Department, Triangle T Water District. 1, discussion and direction on holding an election to form the Triangle T Water District per Section 34400 of the California Water Code. 2, discussion and consideration of entering into a memorandum of understanding with the Triangle T Water District to allow the district to form their own groundwater sustainability agency in accordance with the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Norman Allender, Planning Director, here with Julia Berry, our Water and Natural Resources Director. There are 2 items before you. One is discussion and direction with proceeding with the election for the Triangle T Water District, and it's really a reorganization of that water district. And also, item 2 is approving a memorandum of understanding with that new district that we do in request from all other water districts forming a GSA, so we understand how we work in addressing things like land use and land use compatibility, which is always an issue we want to look out for as our land use authority, as you've heard me say about 19 times today, I think. So with that, Ms. Berry will give us a presentation. Thank you. A quick presentation, by the way, I think.
I know I'm between you and lunch. But we do want to look at Triangle T a little bit because this is an exciting project for the county in a lot of ways, and I think it's important to get into the record the great things that this district will bring to the county as far as groundwater management. A little bit of history. The last time that this board took action in relation to the formation of the district was on November 17th in 2015, and the board decided that there was good cause to form the Triangle T Water District. So they've been at this since November of 2015. It's been a long process to put this district together. And the reason it's called Triangle T is because the largest part of the district is called the Triangle T Ranch and has historically been called that. So that's why they kept that name. So the board did direct them to go through the LAFCO process, and they did that. They were approved by LAFCO in January of this year, on January 25th of this year, and 2 members of this board serve on that LAFCO board, Mr. Supervisor Rodriguez and Mr. Wheeler.
After a couple of times in front of us.
Yes. Yeah, you heard it twice. A little bit of negotiation. They worked it out. So just to talk about what this district brings to the table, they've invested quite a bit of capital in an infrastructure, and they also are unique. Not all water districts are surface water districts. We have a lot of districts that are actually participating in the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act process. They're just groundwater districts. They can purchase water, but they don't have their own contracts. And Triangle T is looking at being able to have their own surface water contract. They also have riparian rights and appropriative rights. So they're a good-sized district. They're about 14,000 acres, and we'll go through that here in a minute. So again, by the numbers, there are 14,770 acres. It's a pretty good-sized district. It's in the Chowchilla Subbasin, and what's important is that this is located in the heart of our problems with subsidence. And under the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, we have to address subsidence. And so, although we can't repair the soil structure, we cannot, when the ground collapses due to subsidence, we can't fix that, but we can put water back in the ground. And so that's why this district formation is a great thing at this time. According to LAFCO, part of their approvals required that the board of directors have 5 members to begin with. And the district, like I said, is just under 15,000 acres, and 12,000 of those acres is owned by John Hancock Life Insurance Company, and they've been a good steward of the water situation out there. Did you want to say something? Okay. The other landowner is the Vlatt brothers. So this map will show you where they are. This is the Chowchilla Subbasin, and the blue areas that you see are the county groundwater sustainability area. What is currently still included in our area, I have highlighted on the western portion. It says Triangle T. It's in that light green color. At this time, they are still a member of a part of our groundwater sustainability agency. And one of the things that we're looking for direction and potentially approval today is the memorandum of understanding that we have come to agreement with Triangle T, that once we become the exclusive groundwater agency for this area, which will be May 10th, they will file to become an exclusive groundwater agency, sustainability agency for their district, and we will amend our boundaries to make room for that to happen. So why would we want to do that? Because, like I said, they bring water rights, and they bring the promise of surface water contracts. They're in the process of negotiating those now. Additionally, they have on their own recharged 15,000 acre-feet of water, and I think we all understand how much water that is. That's a great deal of water, especially in an area where we really need it. And so I have some pictures of the project. So that this water's been recharged from the last water year currently into today. What you're seeing there on the southern or the bottom part of the picture are solar panels. So it's an interesting study in what you can do. The parcels that you see here, you can see a little bit of division. They have actually been leveled so that the water circulates throughout these properties and can actually be put back into the system. So we can move water onto these properties, and then any excess water that isn't recharged goes back into the system and can be recirculated again. So it's a pretty interesting project they have going on out there. And then here's a man standing. This is one of the gentlemen who works for Hancock Agricultural Services. As you can see, the water's not very deep. And what we have also learned from this project is that lots of shallow water actually percolates in this area better than lots of deep water.
Right.
So this has been a really good experiment for us.
Excellent.
And how do we know how much water has gone in? Well, there's the meter. So there's an aerial view, which I think is pretty impressive. And that water, that property's been underwater for months. At this time, as you can see, they had 10,500 acre-feet. Again, we're up to 15,000, and the snow hasn't melted yet. So, they're projecting, they're hopeful they can get, maybe up to 25,000, 30,000 acre-feet of water in that. Well, we'll see what we can do. It's an experiment. It's been a great year. And the other great thing about the folks with Hancock Agricultural Services is not only have they done this project on their own, but they've got their own dog and pony show. They're out talking to neighbors. They're inviting the county to these meetings. We're talking to people about taking water. If you've got a turnout or you've got an ability to flood some of your properties, if you've got vineyards, please do that. So they're almost like ambassadors for this Sustainable Groundwater Management Act at this time. They're really focused on moving the dial as far as getting more water into the ground in that entire area. So they've been a really good partner with us. So in addition to the recharge efforts, they've spent 2 years on permitting and spent a lot of money on infrastructure. This is a different project. This is an aerial. What you see sort of to the north is the Pozo Canal. The Pozo Canal is owned by Central California Irrigation District. And the construction site that you see is actually a pipeline that goes underneath the San Joaquin River that can move water. And there are the trench boxes there. So if you have to repair something, you can just open up a particular trench box. So they were able to get the permitting done. It took 2 years to get that done, and they completed the construction this year. And they were kind enough to call the county and say, please come out and see what we're doing. They've just been a great partner. So they'll be able to move water from the Pozo Canal into this subsiding area, into this red top area, which is another project, which is great. That water can come from MID supplies if they have extra and they want to sell it to Triangle T Water District. It can come from Chowchilla Water District. It can be exchanged at the Mendota Pool. Lots of opportunities there.
And also, so when we passed in LAFCO, we asked them to share with the neighbors that crossing right there on our side for those that other water district that we separated out of that to whatever Clayton that was, but Clayton, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so and they agreed to do that on our LAFCO motion to do that. So
yeah.
It's not only bring that water just for their property, but it also be those other acres where it's subsiding really bad there. So
Right. So as we look at the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act and we look at solving problems, one of the challenges that the county has is that we don't have the infrastructure to move water into some of these areas. And so when we find a partner like this, there were a lot of conversations about, groups that wanted to participate in the Groundwater Management Act. And the only way that you can do that is being a local agency, a city, a district, as you guys know, a county. And so there were a lot of discussions about, maybe we'll just form a water district. Well, I really want to point out how this is unique. This is not just a district. This is a district bringing infrastructure, millions of dollars invested here. This is a district who has secured surface water supplies and has riparian rights. So they're unique. They're not just like any new district coming online. And that brings us to the board direction today. So the semantics of it are we need discussion and direction on holding an election. The options are either having the election done through the board clerk or through the elections department. There are only 2 landowners, and it would not be the first time that the board clerk managed a landowner election like this. So that is, wouldn't be a new.
Supervisor Rogers? Yeah, I want to congratulate Julia on an excellent public relations work with Triangle T as well as technical work. This is a great example of the future, of what the future should look like, and Julia has been a big part of that. Without her, we wouldn't have accomplished this. I plugged into this about 6.5 years ago. When the news of subsidence first came out, I was invited to a meeting out at Clark Ranch. I think you were invited to that meeting. I think you were there as well. Case Falat, my good childhood friend, grew up with him, was at that meeting. We plugged into the idea of trying to solve this problem, and this is what they came up with. And congratulate Mark Hudson, Case Falat, all of the people involved in making this happen, because this would not have happened without their visionary aptitude. They really have put their money where their mouth is. And they are really the machine behind what Hancock put their dollars into. And so this is more than just a huge conglomerate of farmers farming under Hancock Insurance. This is local boys taking care of the situation. And I thought, what better example could you find of somebody who gets it and has invested in the future? We need more partners like this. We need more people who are ready to cooperate like this. And I'm so proud of that they're in District 2, because they've really made a big, big difference for us. Thank you. Supervisor Fraser. I have a motion when you're ready.
I think this has been a wonderful project. Everyone you talk to about it is excited to see something in play that actually is working. I think it's allowed people to understand what is possible, where they maybe didn't think that was before. My question was, when you said, the reasons why for them to be their own GSA is because they have surface water and riparian rights, and I mean, isn't that things that we want to within our GSAs? So why is that a benefit?
Well, they're actually in Chowchilla.
Well, I know. Well, we sit on the. We have our county responsibility areas in our own GSA within the Chowchilla sub-basin. So, just tell us why it's a benefit for them to not be a part of our GSA.
Oh, I wouldn't say it's a benefit for them not to be a part of our GSA. I mean, once we become a GSA, we have a lot of the same authorities and rights as a district. We also can purchase surface water. We can bring it in. these are private landowners who are interested in managing their own properties.
Right.
And they've shown a commitment to, they want to grow their district also. I guess what I was hoping to do was to differentiate this district from any other district in the future that might want to form and become a GSA in reaction to Sigma, because they started forming when it was 2015. So,
Right.
Whatever water we get into the ground benefits our GSA as well. Yeah.
The benefit I see is that it's less responsibility for us.
Yes. No, you hit it on the point, Supervisor, is if we can get this work done and it happens, this is no different than a little bit off topic of a county-run water system for the ranchos or other places, or a private-run water system. And I think we are starting to come to an opinion that maybe to get somebody else to do it is better than us. Yes.
I want that to happen.
I think it's no different than, so the Clayton Water District, they are still under our GSA, but we did sign an MOU with them that they will manage within their own areas. So I was under the impression that we liked private landowners to sort of be in charge of their own fate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do.
Well said, Julia. I think anytime that a private entity can take care of their own interests in their own situation, the government is much better off, because private property rights are sustained. And I think this is the great model. I really do. I think it's something that word needs to get around about, because there are so many farmers out there that have the ability to do this as far as recharge groundwater on their own. Mm-hmm. And we allow for that. We have made allowances, and there's an ability to recharge groundwater when you have that ability. So I think it's an important aspect.
I would just add to that, to the public, come and see us. You want to put recharge on your property, come and see us.
Absolutely. This is a number one priority.
Dale Drozen, I'll be brief. This is a group doing the right thing for the right reasons, and there's a lot of ranchers and farmers out there that don't realize if they don't get on board with a program like this, they're going to be looking at their own extinction. Thank you.
All right, let's bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move that the Board of Supervisors call an election to be held in the proposed district of Triangle T Water District for the purpose of determining whether or not it shall be formed and electing persons to fill offices of that proposed district, and give notice through the clerk of the board, and that procedure for nominating candidates is the official declaration of candidacy forms to be obtained and filed with the Madera County Clerk of the Board office.
I second that exactly.
Is this direction, or is this?
Words out of your mouth.
This is motion.
This is on item 1, so giving explicit.
Specific direction through a motion.
Yeah, through a motion to conduct this. Yes, sir. Yes.
I specifically second that.
Third it.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Excuse me. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
I move we enter into the MOU as designated number 2.
Second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Very good.
Good job, team.
Excellent.
Chairman, did you undo pending legislation?
We have. I thought we had one here.
Yeah, we do. From the clerk.
Yeah. You got it, Justin?
Elections clerk.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm here on behalf of Rebecca Martinez, your county clerk recorder. I'm asking for your support of Assembly Bill 668, which would place a bond measure on the June 2018 ballot for voter approval to appropriate $450 million to replace aging voting systems in all of California's 58 counties. Particularly, I'd like to highlight that Supervisor Rogers and Supervisor Poitras were able to attend a voting system demonstration that we held in this boardroom a couple of weeks ago. Madera County is at the point where we have no choice. We have to replace our voting system. That is going to cost us somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million just for little old Madera County. This would appropriate $450 million of state general fund monies on a 3-to-1 ratio for Madera County, and that will allow us to avoid somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000 in expenses.
Say thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up. But Justin, is there any? Is that the only dollars that we have to even try to our chance to get in to update our voting system?
There's a little bit of HAVA money, the Help America Vote Act money that Madera County has left. That will be used as the matching. So that's the idea behind there. Is
okay.
A little over $250,000.
And this will be on the ballot, what, November next year?
June of 2018, if it passes in its current form.
Wow. Okay.
The letter has already been prepared. I believe the clerk of the board has it prepared for the
thumbs up for it. So.
What if the voter system doesn't allow them to take
Any
this?
comment from the public? If not, we'll bring it back.
We're hoping to avoid that, Mr.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
All right, number 9, supervisors and staff reports.
Robert?
I have nothing to report at this time.
Sunday, the 23rd, 10th annual wood carving rendezvous starts at the Oaker Community Center, goes all week. They come from all over the western states, and there's at least 200 people there. They fill that whole community center in Oaker stuff. So if you want to go up and watch them, any carving and stuff, they have class and everything the whole week. So I always go to the opening. Sunday night they have the opening deal of it, and they have a big dinner. And they always invite me, so I'm going to that to represent us, and it's neat. And then the University of California, you know, that for the Master Gardener program is tomorrow at 11:30 at the Master Gardens Madera County's Three Sisters Garden Farm. If you guys can go that, I can't come down. And tomorrow night, if you know any little history about the Sierras, Orland Bartholomew made a 300-mile trip in the middle of the winter from Yosemite to Mount Whitney, and his son Phil, who's a good friend of mine, is going to have a talk at the Sierra Vista Byway annual meeting at Norfolk School. And if you haven't heard him talk on this, it's unbelievable how he went there 2 summers in a row storing food at different points. And there was going to be 2 guys do it, and the one guy backed out, and he done that whole thing all by himself. I mean, it's unbelievable what that guy did. So, and then like Matt said earlier, that all the volunteer firemen, they have this annual lunch up it's on a Sunday in Oakhurst Community Center, and they always people donate stuff. I always take cars because they always bring their kids, and those kids love getting those race cars from me. So it's a great thing if you want to honor our volunteer firemen. And then on the 27th at the Oakhurst Community Center, the Cal Fire is having a reforestation workshop for our tree mortality group, and I'm helping sponsoring that with that. And so the Norfolk Boosters is having a golf tournament, first one for the Loggers Jamboree this year, to try to raise some more money for our recreation park up there. Friday night is the big baseball game where Max is going to throw out the baseball. Right. And then last week, George Runner, he sponsored with me, Tom Berryhill, and Frank Bigelow, and myself. I actually gave the opening speech for it, for the Oakhurst Small Business Tax Seminar and Resource Expo. And George couldn't come down, so they had him on the thing live from Sacramento, where he talked to us when it first started. So it was kind of cool. So anyway, that was kind of neat. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I attended the JPA on Friday for the Joint Powers Authority for the San Joaquin Valley Water Infrastructure Authority. And I'd like to state at this time we are really headed towards great preparation for the application for the $1 billion under Prop 1 funding for the infrastructure for Temperance Flat Dam and other water projects throughout the valley. The coalition is growing. We had a lot of the water agencies sign on, including Westside and many other water agencies. Friant is involved. They're actually putting money into the project, which means that it's not a roll of the dice anymore, gentlemen. This is something that is very likely to happen in our future. And it's going to happen whether or not the state of California gets involved, because everyone sees the benefit and the potential there. That's a huge coalition. It's unprecedented. We've come from 0 miles per hour straight up to 150 in a short time, and I want to congratulate Mario Santoyo, who has led the charge on this, our director, and then I want to also congratulate our water person, Julia Berry, who's been involved in the technical group from its inception, and she's directly plugged into those meetings, every meeting, and it's just really, Madera County's at the forefront of this. I had the benefit of being the person who brought everybody together at Madera County to actually form this agency, and I feel that this is an historic time to be part of this agency. It is not it is the most important move that the counties of this Valley of California have made, and it will be what will save our future. We are very, very proud. Thank you.
Sounds like it's moving like a high-speed train.
Yeah.
Too soon. So I just wanted, I don't think anybody said it, but last week, I mean, it was a noticed public meeting, but we were all, not last week, 2 weeks ago, up at the management retreat. I thought it went very well. Kudos to Eric and his team for putting on what I thought was very important visioning meeting. I always get a good, jolt afterwards, wanting to do a lot better things for the county. And then also I wanted to ask Tom, on the Lager Jamboree golf tournament, if your ball is behind a tree, you get to cut it down so that you don't have to play around it?
We carry chainsaws with
You carry chainsaws. I thought so. I'd like to join that tournament then.
I got an entry bank if you want to put a team.
They're going to be wooden balls.
Wooden balls, and
you want to put a team together? $50 a person.
Oh, only $50 a person. $200, maybe.
Yeah.
That's a nice course. That's all I have.
May 13th. Brett?
Last night we had, we met about a month ago, and some of the local churches, not the Catholic Church, but the other churches, and we had about 10, 12 churches that their pastors approached me, and the mayor of the city of Madera, Mayor Andy Medellin, and what they wanted was a meeting to discuss the immigration law and how it's going to be enforced and to what degree. So we've got law enforcement, we've got the sheriff, we've got the police chief, and we've got the DA, and we got them all together last night. And we had, his name was Mr. Reese from his opposite president. He's immigration officer and president. He's a big shot. So what we discussed was the degree of enforcement. And he kind of laid, what he said was, if you commit a crime like a felony, you better worry about being deported. But if you're a family member and you're leading a good life and you don't bother anybody and you're working hard, we're not going to bother you. He said that over and over again. And law enforcement said the same thing. Yeah, he did say law enforcement said the same thing. We're not going to bother the decent people. But if the people commit crimes, these people have to worry because we will deport them after the sentence. And that was, the meeting was about an hour and a half, and everybody was very satisfied about the answer they got to their questions. It was very good.
Good job. Every county should have that meeting. Just fill the minutes.
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
I have nothing to report.
Welcome back.
Oh, welcome back. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Brett.
You got it.
Rhonda.
You know what? I just want to extend a special thank you to my staff. I was out sick last week. They did a tremendous job, and they kept in touch with me, so I, knew what was going on. But I just appreciate them so much. I just wanted to extend my appreciation to them.
We're only good as the people under us, huh?
Yeah. Well, that was Rhonda's vacation, and she told me this morning she had a bad cold, so she was nursing that cold all week.
So no vacation.
That's too bad. Okay. Well, let's go into closed session.
Yep.
I'm just going to send an email. It's automatic.
Oh, yeah, I know. So we'll put it in the resolution.
Exactly, and I'll just, that was the one thing I was thinking.
Yeah.
You feel pressure off this. You made me laugh so hard when we look at the phone like that.
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from closed session.
I didn't say anything. You didn't get it. I didn't say anything. You guys are like a good comedy.
Well, I just said there were no reportable actions, but maybe now you can close it.
All right. Okay. Shut it up.
Meeting's adjourned, Chairman.